Hello all, Sique here, and welcome back to the Path to the Unpunishable. We're going over card 15, the strict program, and this card was called the Keeper right up until yesterday. And the original idea was to talk about gatekeeping your life and like who you allow in and who is out. But here's the thing, there are people in my life who knew me before I started making serious changes. They knew the people-pleasing version of me. They knew the Captain Save-A-Ho version of me. But now I've changed. Some of these people are finding their way back and wanting access again. And what they're discovering is I'll let you in, but I'm going to set expectations. And I will outline consequences if you messed up because I run a strict program. So it isn't about in or out. It's more about the expectations of those you let back in. And I think that's the better way of framing this card. And that matters because you have every right to decide what someone must do to stay in your company. Just like people expect you to conform, just like they expect your silence about their damage and around their damage, just like they expected access without accountability. They expected those things from you and got mad when they didn't get it. Well, you're allowed to expect people not to harm you. You're allowed to unapologetically drop them if they refuse to get with your program, even when that program is strict, especially when that program is strict. Now for me, I keep a strict program, especially now. I always have, but it's even stricter, even when it costs me, because I don't exploit people's vulnerabilities. Even though I know exactly what your vulnerabilities are, right? Because usually within minutes of talking to you, I know who you are, what you want, how far you're willing to go, and where your hard boundary is. And once I have that information, I can make you do almost anything if I'm willing to exploit it. But exploiting people's vulnerabilities, it's a hard boundary for me. That's something that I'm not willing to do. At least I wasn't, past tense, willing to do. I'll explain that in a moment. Thing is that I don't exploit people. And more accurately, I strive not to. Not because it's hard. It's because it would have been easy. It's still very easy. But here's the thing. I have standards for myself, and exploiting vulnerabilities is trashy. It's cheap. It's ghetto behavior, right? Being able to manipulate someone just because you can and get them to do what you want them to do, or having the power to threaten them or coerce them so you feel better about your own insecurities and your own shitty life screams poor. It screams broke. It's low effort, ladderless, maidenless behavior, right? And if life really is a roguelike, Souls-like, I want it on survival mode. I don't want it on story mode, easy mode, because exploiting someone's vulnerabilities is that. I want the joy that only comes from people dealing with you because they genuinely like you. I know that feeling. And the folks who sit up there and manipulate and coerce and threaten and have to put together false narratives about a person, they don't know that joy. And I feel sorry for you. I feel bad for you because it's the only thing rocking, right? And it's so much better than people doing what you want because you have leverage. It's just so much better, right? And you want to know, well, first of all, do you want to know how I know that? Because people who hate me, people who don't like me, they still like rocking with me, right? And do you know why people, even though they don't like me, still rock with me? Say it with me. Because I don't exploit your vulnerabilities. I keep it on survival mode. I keep it deep. I check myself, right? I make sure there's nothing I've missed. And that matters because when I eventually use the same energy on you that you used on me, my conscience is clear. I don't have to enjoy it, right? I don't have to like it, but I need to be able to take joy in it. And what do you mean? Y'all used a lot of dirty tricks and y'all did a lot of ugly stuff to me, right? And I've studied all of it. I've studied all of it. And I examined them mechanically, thematically, and practically. And I've made changes, right? I've made changes not because I could not do to you what you did to me. It's because I wanted the outcome to be clean, right? I wanted the energy to be correct, and I wanted the consequences to be accurate. And there's another thing when it comes to returning your energy back to you after everything you've done to me, and something that you really need to understand is that many of these things that will destroy you do not have to be bad things. I will say about 90% of them don't have to be bad things at all, because a good thing given to a good person at the wrong time will destroy them. A good thing given to a good person at the wrong time will destroy them. I'm going to say it one more time. A good thing given to a good person at the wrong time will destroy them. Sique, why did you say that 3 times? That sounds ominous. No, it's a cantrip. Right. And why did I say it 3 times? Is because I wanted to signal to my team that this is a consistent, persistent, and permanent request. That is, this and what happens when this statement is said happens every single time without fail. It will always happen, right? And there's nothing that can stop it from happening, right? And what happens is that every time the cantrip is said and heard, the power of it doubles, right? Whether it comes from me or anybody else. And it doubles not only every time it's said or heard, but it doubles for every person that heard it at the same time, right? I put the actual formula in the article, and those of y'all know I'm an English major, so I'm hoping I'm reading this correctly, but it'll also be in the article so you can see the math I'm working with. So the power of this cantrip at any given time is 3 times 2 to the power of how many people heard it times, no, it's 3 times, yeah, 3 times 2 times as many people heard it times 2 to the power of the people who heard it, right? Yes, which equals 6 times 2 to the unknown power. Once again, I'll write it down, but I'm going to explain it. So I said it 3 times already, and so it's at a power of 3. Is at level 3 of power, right? Now, after this video, if you heard someone say it once, it doubles and its level is at 6, right? But let's say you're in a room of like 10 people, right? The intensity goes from 3 to level 6,144, right? If there was 100 people in that same room, that one time saying it increases the intensity of the cantrip to 6 times 2 to the 100th power, which is a number that has 31 digits in it. And I didn't want to write that down, so I just pointing that out. And let's say you heard it and you were in a room with, let's say, 1,200 people in it. Then the intensity is 6 times 2 to the 1,200th power. The level of this cantrip is now to a number that has 362 digits. And because it's consistent and persistent, this happens every time you hear it, right? And that's the reason why you're always winning. Because you think you're a good person, and looking good is better than being good, right? And good things happen to good people, right? Of course they do. Though the timing might be off. If someone is not emotionally, mentally, physically, and spiritually ready for a gift, they will either exploit it or squander it. And they're often worse off afterwards. Okay. Now, I've given you a warning, and y'all always think I'm so goofy by doing all this and then warning you. So what if no one says it? What if we all heard it and no one repeats it? Well, because this is the consequences of your actions for the last 14 years, this cantrip goes back 14 years and starts counting and doubling from there. And by the time, and whatever that number is, when you hear me say this, it's the number that it starts. Now, if you've never heard me say it before, it's at 3. But if you've heard it before, it doubles for every time you've heard it, every time you've said it, and for every person that was in the room who heard it with you. Each individual person doubles that number. Okay? But don't worry. The best thing at the worst possible time is usually a comedy of errors, right? People end up embarrassed, exposed, humiliated. And yet, still, they have 100% chance of full recovery. That is one of the conditions. That was the boundary. You have to have it. It needs to be a good thing. Now, not all good things will destroy you, but the thing that will eventually destroy you will be a good thing. And you have an 100% chance of recovering from it if you're willing to learn the lesson. That gives me joy, because all of this isn't for nothing, right? I don't have to like it. I can still pray for you. I can still see the harm it causes, and I do. But it gives me joy knowing that you can become a better person out of it. And it's important that I take joy in that, because my inability to take joy in the consequences of your actions is why people got away with as much as they did for so long, right? It's true. And it's also true that my nervous system is healing day by day. And I'm waking up now asking myself different questions. Like, what fun thing am I going to do today? What am I going to draw? What I'm going to learn? What I'm going to play? This is new. And at the same time, I would still rather not use anything to my full capacity if I don't have to. I don't want to have to exploit your vulnerability. And that's the reason why access to me is limited, right? That's why my cutoff game is S tier. It is elite. And there is a literal re-entry fee if you want back in my favor. Because I'm not going to sit there and be around people that I have to exploit their vulnerability in order to stop. That's not happening. And you've heard this before. You've heard my demands before. And y'all will say, well, no one wants to be around you like that, Sique. You're not worth that. I have 2 responses. The first one is good, because I don't want cruel people who refuse responsibility or accountability anywhere near me. If you cannot handle the program, that's fine. I'm like, you don't have to. There's other people who allow you in for cheaper, right? But keep it in good faith and keep it charismatic, right? Say what you want to say the way you want to say it, but keep it funny enough so I don't smite you. So I don't strike you. Real humor goes a long way. And the second thing I got to say to this is bullshit, because it only takes a few minutes of talking to me to know that anything you're saying about me is false. Because just like I know who you are within a few minutes, you know exactly who I am within minutes of talking to me. And many of you, you thought that I was an easy mark. And that wasn't wise, was it? So how does all of this look through the lens? Well, empathy helps you discern who deserves entry and who does not. And truth shows you that access is earned, not owed. Kindness reminds you that boundaries protect connections rather than prevent them. You want the right ones, let the right ones in. Anti-greed keeps your energy sacred and unavailable for extraction. And joy emerges when you realize you are the guardian of you're the guardian of your own life. So what does the card teach us? Well, the boundaries are not punishment. There are terms and conditions that do apply. It teaches that allowing access does not mean abandoning discernment. It teaches that people who rely on your softness often call your structure cruelty. It's not. They're just not getting what they want. This card teaches you that you are allowed to run a strict program unapologetically. And within the path of Unpunishable, this card marks a moment where protection becomes policy. Earlier cards teach discernment, this one enforces it. Unpunishable does not mean permissive. It means that you are no longer allowed to be harmed for the sake of being liked. And with that, I'd like to leave you with this closing image. Picture a gate that is open, but it's not broken. There's a path forward. There are rules for entry. There are consequences for disrespect. May you guard your life without guilt. May your boundaries be clear and enforceable. May your joy no longer require self-sacrifice. And may anyone who enters your world understand exactly what it costs to stay. The program is strict, and it's strict because it works. Amen. Talk to you soon.